Hello everyone, Pam here once again and welcome back to our OWASP Mobile Top 10 series. Today we are covering threat number 5, insecure communication. In this video, we'll define what insecure communication means in mobile contexts, explore how attackers intercept and manipulate data in transit, discuss comprehensive protection strategies, and examine the business consequences of communication vulnerabilities. So let's get started. Insecure communication occurs when mobile applications fail to adequately protect data as it travels between the device and back-end servers, or between the device and other services. This vulnerability manifests in several ways. 1. Unencrypted network traffic using plain HTTP instead of HTTPS. 2. Weak TLS SSL configurations that can be downgraded or bypassed. 3. Improper certificate validation allowing man-in-the-middle attacks. And 4. Sensitive data transmitted over insecure channels like SMS or unencrypted Wi-Fi. The mobile environment makes this particularly dangerous. Users frequently connect to untrusted networks, public Wi-Fi, coffee shops, airports, or hotels, where attackers can easily position themselves between the device and the internet. This is the fundamental problem. Data traveling across networks without proper encryption is vulnerable to interception, modification, and replay attacks. Let's see how attackers exploit insecure communication. Attackers use various techniques to exploit communication vulnerabilities. One of it is man-in-the-middle attacks, MITM. This is the primary threat, where an attacker positions themselves between your application and the server, intercepting all traffic. On an unsecured Wi-Fi network, this is trivially easy using readily available tools. Once in position, attackers can read sensitive data like credentials, tokens, and personal information, modify requests and responses in real time, and inject malicious content into the communication stream. Number 2 is certificate validation bypass. Many mobile applications fail to properly validate SSL TLS certificates, and attackers exploit this by presenting self-signed certificates, using expired certificates, and exploiting hostname mismatches. So if the app doesn't validate certificates correctly, then it will trust these fraudulent certificates and establish secure connections with the attacker. Number 3 is protocol downgrade attacks, where attackers force the connection to use older, weaker protocols like SSL v4, v3, or TLS 1.0, which have known vulnerabilities. Once downgraded, they can exploit this weakness to decrypt the traffic. Mobile applications sometimes send sensitive data via SMS or pass it through deep links. Both mechanisms are inherently insecure and can be intercepted by malicious applications with the appropriate permissions. So the key insight here is, if you can see the data traveling across the network, so can an attacker on the same network. So let's look at the prevention and mitigation strategies. And protecting communication requires multiple layers of defense. 1. You need to enforce TLS for all connections. Use HTTPS exclusively for all network communications. Disable plain HTTP entirely in your application. Implement HTTP strict transport security on your servers. And finally, you need to use TLS 1.2 or higher and deprecate the older protocols. Number 2 is implement certificate pinning. This is critical for high security applications. Pin the server certificate or its public key in your application. Reject connections if the presented certificate doesn't match. This prevents MITM attacks or man-in-the-middle attacks, even if an attacker has valid certificates from a compromised certificate authority. Be aware, certificate pinning requires careful management and update procedures. Number 3 is validate certificates properly. Never disable certificate validation in production code. Verify the certificate chain is valid. Check that the host name matches the certificate. Ensure the certificate hasn't expired. And validate the certificate is issued by a trusted authority. You also need to protect API keys and secrets. You should never hardcode API keys in your application. Use secure key storage mechanisms like Android key stores or iOS keychain. Implement certificate-based authentication where possible and rotate keys regularly. You also need to secure alternative communication channels by avoiding sending sensitive data via SMS. Remember, SMS is unencrypted and is easily intercepted. Don't pass sensitive parameters in deep links or URL schemes. You should use push notifications with encrypted payloads instead. Implement network security configurations. On Android, use the network security configuration file to disable clear text traffic, define certificate pinning policies, configure trusted certificate authorities. On iOS, you can configure app transport security or what we call ATS to enforce secure communications. You also need to add layer 7 protections where you can implement mutual TLS for device authentication where possible, and also use token-based authentication with shorter expiration times. Implement request signing to detect tampering, and add replay attack protection using nonces or timestamps. Now, the consequences of insecure communication can be devastating. That can lead to data breach and privacy violations, where intercepted communication can expose user credentials and authentication tokens, personal identifiable information or PII, financial data and transaction details, health records and sensitive business information, and this can lead to regulatory penalties under the local data privacy laws, GDPR, CCPA, HIPAA, and other privacy laws. It can also lead to account takeover, where stolen authentication tokens allow attackers to impersonate legitimate users, access user accounts without passwords, perform unauthorized transactions, and extract additional sensitive data. Number 3 is reputational damage, where security breaches involving intercepted communication can generate significant negative publicity. Users will lose trust in applications that fail to protect the data in transit. You'll also experience compliance failures among many regulatory frameworks, specifically that require encryption of data in transit, such as PCI DSS for payment card data, HIPAA for health information, SOC 2 for service organizations, and industry-specific regulations. And non-compliance is normally unforgiving that can result into fines, audit failures, and loss of business partnerships. It can also lead to competitive intelligence loss for enterprise applications, where intercepted communications can reveal business strategies and plans, customer lists and pricing, proprietary algorithms and processes, strategic partnership, and negotiations. So the bottom line for this is insecure communication creates a direct pipeline for attackers to access your most sensitive data and business operations. So to summarize this threat, number 5 emphasizes a critical principle. All communications must be encrypted and authenticated. In today's threat landscape, with the users constantly connecting to untrusted networks, there is no excuse for unencrypted traffic. Implementing TLS properly, validating certificates rigorously without exception, and considering certificate pinning for high-value applications is a non-negotiable. It's hands-on time. Let's get started by opening our emulator from the terminal. What you're going to do is exploit weaknesses around certificate pinning and unencrypted traffic to intercept, inspect traffic from a victim application on a phone. The app you're going to use is an intentionally vulnerable application called AndroGot. And now we need to set up a proxy by going to the Wi-Fi icon, then edit the Wi-Fi, and on the display screen click on proxy and choose manual. On the proxy hostname, enter the IP address of your machine. So we're basically making our machine a middleware. On the port, put 8080, then save. Let's open back proxy and set up our listen interface. Go to proxy tab, add an interface listener, port 8080, and choose our local machine IP, then click OK. This is what exactly an attacker will do if you connect to their Wi-Fi, which they'll probably be monitoring. You can see our HTTP history is empty for now, and just ensure to put off the interceptor. Open the AndroGot application, go to Network Intercepting, click on HTTP, and you can see we have a request intercepted. Now, when you click the HTTPS, you realize we don't get any traffic. This is because there is an SSL certificate implemented on the application somewhere, and hopefully incorrectly. Now, for us to see that traffic as well, we'll need to install a certificate from Babsuit on the mobile device itself. So go to Babsuit, then to settings and search for certificate. Enter proxy on the left, click on the import export CA certificate, then choose certificate in DR format. Click next, then choose the certificate file location and give it a name with a .cr in the end. Ensure it's .cr. Click next, and the file will be exported to the chosen location. Let's send this file to the mobile device by using adb push command from the terminal and putting it into /sd card /downloads folder. Go to the device settings and search for the certificates. Choose install a certificate, CA certificate. There will be a warning pop-up. Just click install anyway. Then go to the certificate location downloads and click on it to install. Go back to the trusted credentials to confirm the installation was successful. Go to the user and should see Portswigger CA. Let's now go to our application and click on the HTTPS button. You can see now we get HTTPS traffic as well for OWASP.org. Thank you for watching. This is it for now. See you and you're welcome.